I expect the Vikings to win a football game on Sunday afternoon, and the Bears' imperfect 10 will be complete, right? 10 straight losses to end the year, a franchise record 14 losses. I don't see any way that this game goes in a different direction than that. Nathan Peterman hasn't made a start, I think now it's 4+ years. And so he's going to have to take the football field with a team that's not exactly sturdy around him and try to be productive at a point in his career where he needs to take every step forward to assure his future in certain ways, you know, here or elsewhere, obviously. I don't expect this to be pretty on Sunday afternoon, and it's just going to be the punctuation on a season that's been full of weird twists and turns, and we'll end with a 10-game losing streak.
And I think it's even more of a tough opportunity for Peterman because he's stepping in this final week. But like you said, the weapons around him, or the lack of weapons around him, because Matt Eberflus said him and Ryan Poles are going to evaluate this roster and find out who doesn't need to go out there. If they're dealing with any kind of ailment at this point in the season, kind of what is the point? So they're going to be low on weapons and low on, you know, the chemistry, and it's just, that's, I think, to me, the most troubling part.
It's a preseason game in January, Kaitlin, and it's you know, the other part of this is it's an unfulfilling ending to the Justin Fields experience that we had for the 2022 season. You don't like that his last game on a football field was a clunker in Detroit, a 31-point loss where the passing offense was a mess against a terrible defense, and now you go into the offseason with more questions than you wanted to have. We know who Justin is as a leader. We know who Justin is as a playmaking artist. We don't know who he is as an accomplished passer. And now this leaves the evaluation in the hands of the front office and coaches here to figure out who he is, what he can be, and how they have to take strides around him to, you know, evaluate things with whatever they come with whatever conclusion they come to. I think most people in Chicago are probably relieved that Justin Fields will not be in harm's way on Sunday. But again, it's just an ending to a season that just feels kind of like a fizzle, and you didn't necessarily want that.
And I think the most challenging part you talked about, the evaluation piece, I feel like us even watching this entire season and what Justin's had to deal with adversity-wise, injury-wise, losing his weapons. Like you said, we've seen his run ability skyrocket this season. But there's big parts of his game. And even Matt Eberflus said he's not even sure if he can give him a complete grade at this point.
No question, right? And so, like, Justin has answered a lot of important questions within the season. He has also not answered a lot of important questions, and that's the state of trying to compete in this league and figure out whether you have a franchise quarterback that can be a starter for 4 or 5 years, or a franchise quarterback that can lead you to championships eventually. And you heard Matt Eberflus on Wednesday talk about the need for Justin to go into 2023 working to improve on his rhythm and timing as a passer, his ability to manipulate the pocket and surf around in there and make plays in the passing game. There was improvement during stretches of this season, and then there was a little bit of regression late. And so now you're a little bit incomplete, and you have to make some really hard decisions, projecting rather than knowing what you have in your hands right now.
I don't think anyone really expected more than the wins and losses that they saw this season from the Bears, given the circumstance and given where they're at as a franchise. But when you look at the foundational floor that Matt Eberflus talks about, as he kind of so more or less reflected on this season so far, do you feel like that foundational floor has been put in place?
I think there's some of it that's there. I'm not going to go as far as to meet Matt Eberflus all the way, because this is a football team right now that can't stop the run, can't rush the passer, can't protect their quarterback, and can't throw the ball. Those are 4 foundational floor things that I would like to have on my floor as I'm building a competitive, successful football team. And so they've got a long way to go. I think what Matt's talking about is the buy-in, the culture, the ability to be resilient amidst adversity, and just back to the HITS principle, right? Like the hustle, the intensity, the preparation, and the investment that's required. I think he thinks that's there. Sooner rather than later, it's going to have to result in wins. Otherwise, we're just kind of spinning our tires in the mud that, as you know, the Bears have been spinning their tires in the mud for 30 years.
And I feel like we don't need to do a final score prediction, but I will ask you this as the reports and things circulate about the possibility of Kevin Warren coming to Chicago to be the reported team president. What do you think of those reports?
Look, this is a very important role that the Chicago Bears have to fill, and I would hope that they would swing for the fences and try to find somebody that can help them raise the bar and produce results across every department in the building. Most notably, you got to go try to build a stadium in Arlington Heights. And so for a guy who has that experience during his time with the Minnesota Vikings front office, that would be a plus. Kevin's a guy who has got leadership experience and is a guy who can come in and raise a bar for this organization. But we'll see where the Bears land with this, and we'll see how they explain how they wound up where they land with this, because it's a very important transition time at a very important time in the franchise. And so we'll see what direction it takes.